Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're diving into some really interesting thinking from a Christian Living post by Gospelekia called Raising the King.
Hmm.
Now, that title, Raising the King, it might bring up images of, crowns and royalty, but hang on.
Yeah, it's definitely evocative.
It really is. The piece uses this powerful picture, a king falling, a new one expected, like moving from chaos to a fresh start to look at how we actually nurture potential.
Right. And leadership.
Yeah.
Not just in, literal kingdoms, but all over.
Exactly. We're talking about laying the groundwork for important roles later on. Could be guiding your kids, helping your community, or even, developing your own leadership qualities.
And what hits you right away in the article is that opening. It's quite dramatic.
It doesn't ease you in, does it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Boom. You're right there. The king's fallen. There's this sense of loss, uncertainty.
Yeah.
But then, almost immediately, there's this feeling of hope looking forward. Who comes next?
That cycle, loss, then hope. It makes you think, how do we get people ready for those big moments, those big roles?
Totally. And then the article brings in this really significant prophecy about the new king.
Oh, yeah. It quotes, "For a child is born to us, a son is given to us." And it goes on, "Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God."
Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. From the NLT version, it notes.
And the weight of that, the expectation placed on this child right from the beginning, it's huge.
It really is. You think, wow, what kind of upbringing, what kind of nurturing does someone need to even approach fulfilling that?
Exactly.
And that really leads into the main point, doesn't it? How do you actually grow that kind of potential?
It does. And the article puts it pretty simply, but it's profound. The prince of today is the king of tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Simple, but it says so much about the long game, doesn't it? Consistent nurturing, guidance, starting early.
Recognizing that spark, that seed of leadership, and actively helping it grow.
Yeah, not just hoping it happens.
And I like this term they introduced, kingmakers.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
It's not just parents, it's anyone strategic, anyone influential in shaping that future leader, mentors, teachers,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even certain friends.
Right, it broadens it out. It shows that shaping potential isn't, usually a one-person job. It often involves a whole network.
A village, almost.
Kind of. And the article really pushes for a deliberate approach from these kingmakers.
How so?
Well, this idea of actively seeking out and following instructions, guidance on raising the child in what it terms righteousness.
Okay.
And it sets that against just sort of passively letting things like PV or, social media be the main shapers.
Big contrast there. It
Yeah.
makes you really pause and think about how intentional you are or aren't being. What are you trying to instill?
Exactly. What's the plan?
And then it dives into specific qualities for this future leader. Compassionate yet brave, kind yet disciplined.
Peace-loving, yet courageous.
Yeah.
Prudent, yet generous.
Excellent yet tolerant.
Yeah.
Contented yet passionate. It's these pairs, these seemingly opposite traits together.
And that tension in the pairings is, I think, really insightful.
Yeah.
Take kind yet disciplined. You need that warmth, that approachability, but also the structure, the boundaries. One without the other isn't quite right for leadership, is it?
Or compassionate yet brave. Empathy is key, but so is making tough calls.
Precisely. It's that balance. Finding that sweet spot between them, that's what makes a leader effective, according to this perspective.
The article also gets into the environment, the influences, saying you need to shield the tender heart from corruption.
Makes you think about what we let in, right? Especially when young. The info, the media, the company you keep.
It all shapes you.
Definitely. But there's this great quote that captures the balance needed. Kings are raised in palaces, but they will judge the street and preserve the land.
Okay, unpack that a bit.
Well, it suggests, a nurturing, maybe somewhat protected upbringing of the palace, but not cut off from reality. They have to understand the street, the real-world problems and people if they're going to lead effectively and preserve the land. Can't be totally naive.
So protected but not isolated. That makes sense.
Yeah. And to really hit home this idea of, dedicated effort in raising someone,
Yeah.
it brings up Samson's parents from the Bible, Manoah and his wife, how they specifically asked for instructions on how to raise him.
Oh, right. They went looking for guidance.
Exactly. It shows that nurturing potential isn't just wishful thinking. It often means actively seeking wisdom, committing to a specific way. It's work.
It underlines that intentionality again. Recognizing potential is one thing, but actually doing the work to cultivate it, That's the key step.
That's it, the active participation.
Now, the article doesn't shy away from discipline and guidance either. It calls being a kingmaker daunting and delicate, needs patience.
It does. And it has a clear viewpoint on discipline, referencing that proverb about sparing the rod.
Which can be a contentious verse for some.
It can be,
Yeah.
but the way it seems framed here, it's less about hardness and more about the necessity of providing structure, boundaries, correction as part of loving guidance.
Caring enough to correct, basically.
That seems to be the angle. It's part of healthy development in this view,
Yeah.
not neglect.
And this feeds into raising someone to be worldly relevant, but also passionate about his father's business.
How did you interpret that?
I took it as, having practical skills, understanding the world you live in,
Right, being effective.
but also having a really strong moral core and ethical compass. Like that father's business is the deeper purpose or values.
Yeah, I think that fits. The article actually warns against being worldly useful and heavenly useless.
Wow, strong words.
Yeah, it really hammers home the importance of that inner life, that moral foundation, not just external success.
It's about the whole person. Which links to that other line, doesn't it? About the king's meals must be rich to nourish the body, soul, and spirit.
Exactly. Holistic development. Body, mind, spirit, all need nourishment, all need attention. It's a comprehensive vision for growth.
I also found that bit about raising with intentions really stuck with me. The article implies that without that focus, that purpose, or what it calls divine provision, growth can be stunted.
Yeah, it suggests the need for like a guiding principle, a strong foundation. Otherwise, things don't develop properly. There needs to be direction.
A clear why behind the what.
Precisely. And then, moving towards the end, it talks about the actual demands of leadership.
Right, it gets real.
It makes the point that a weak king, well, they can't protect their territory. Simple as that.
So you need strength, resilience.
Yes, training is needed. The article says his hands must be trained to war and his heart to withstand the pressure.
Wow. So developing inner toughness alongside skills.
Absolutely. It's not just about knowing things. It's about being able to handle the heat.
And even if you're raised in comfort, in the opulence of the palace, as it says,
discipline still matters. That's a key reminder.
You have to understand that peace comes with a price.
Yeah. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
It requires effort, responsibility, maybe sacrifice. It's not just about enjoying privilege. It's about upholding something.
That responsibility piece feels really central.
It does. That final point kind of brings it all home, I think. No matter the circumstances, building character, resilience, that ethical core, that's what's fundamental for leading well anywhere.
Okay. So wrapping up this deep dive into raising the king, what stands out most are maybe three things.
Go for it.
The huge importance of that early, consistent nurturing. Then the need for this complex mix of qualities in a leader, those balanced pairs we talked about.
Yeah, the compassion, bravery, etc.
Yeah. And finally, the really active, intentional role that kingmakers, mentors, parents, guides play in shaping potential. It's not passive.
Which leads us to maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
Okay.
Think about the king in that metaphorical sense that you might be raising or nurturing right now. Maybe it's your child, maybe a student, maybe a project, or maybe it's the potential king within yourself.
Interesting twist.
What foundations are you actually laying down? What are those core principles, those divine provisions, as the article might put it, that are guiding that growth?
That's definitely something to chew on. What foundations are we building? Powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we hope this deep dive gave you some fresh perspectives on growth, leadership, and nurturing potential in all its forms. Thanks for joining us.